just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Packer Up, boys. And it is time. If you're driving home, have a good listen. Oh, yes! That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Such a bloody good beer, if I do say so myself. Matty, how you been, mate? You're dressed like an absolute Derek, but how you been, brother?
Yeah, it's one of those rare times in life where you come up against your main rival and it's just do or die. So I woke up this morning. It's the only thing I can think about. So
there you go, dressed like a loser.
We'll see. We'll see at 10 o'clock tonight.
And I forgot last week, I forgot to open the podcast with some positivity or just some nice things to say.
Yeah.
So, you know what I want to say this week? It's not necessarily positive. It could be quite negative. It could actually put you in a downward spiral if you're honest with yourself.
Okay.
But here's the question I ask you to pose yourself, listeners. Are you the man you say you are? Are you the man you say you are? That's all I'll say. You think on that question.
Okay.
Then just go, do I act the way I say I act to people? When I say that I'm an honest guy, when I say that I'm unselfish, when I say that I'm a good person, do you really act like that all the time? Do you pick that piece of rubbish up when no one's looking? Do you do that stuff? I don't know. You ask the question. That's always one of been my when people go, oh, what is it to be a man or whatever? I think it's really clear to be a man. It's to take care of your family, your friends, and your community. I think that's what a man's job is. But also, just on a very individual basis, it's that simple. Are you the man you say you are? Because I think if you audited your life, we would all find we aren't the men we say we are, and that's what you should aspire to be.
I've got a bit of a funny response to this, and it's kind of like a inception response. I reckon I am the person that I say I am, but that's because I'm so, I don't know what the word is,
Because I'm going to have another question for you after this. I already know where this is going.
So I'm so superstitious with life, like unbelievable. Like when I lock the car, I have to, it drives people crazy. I have to check every door and then check the drivers again. Like for
That's OCD.
For bloke on Monday, I park in the same spot because it went right the week before, and I have everything because I think I say that I do what I say I'm going to do because I think it'll cost me in the long run. So in that respect, yes, I am, but it's coming from a selfish perspective because I think that things are going to go wrong if I don't do that. So maybe I'm not the man I say I am. Maybe I'm just pretending to be just to get the result that I want.
Maybe. And the question of that is then, are you the man you hope you could be?
I hope so. I think so. So
it's like, are you the best version of yourself?
Well, yeah, I think, well, you know what? No, definitely not.
No one is. If you've hit the best version of yourself, you're not aiming high enough.
Exactly. And you can talk about it in so many different ways, but like even going to the gym and being a better physical person, a physical version of yourself than you were a month ago. That's everyone can always improve that, and that goes for everything in life.
Absolutely. And it's funny how a lot of people, we bandy about these principles and these ethics that we have, but when the crunch comes, when there's money involved and you got a decision to make as to where you would go left or right, and you think you go a certain way, or, that you got a very selfish need for something and you think, no, I would always be able to control myself or whatever. Yeah, so that's the question.
I think it helps as well having people around you, the right people around you that keep you accountable. My missus doesn't let me get away with anything. My friends don't let me get away with anything. Like for example, if I'm, the example you used before, throwing litter on the floor, the amount of people that if you did that in front of someone, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then now it's just ingrained in you.
Yeah.
I think having people around you.
But I didn't say that. I said, do you pick up rubbish when you're walking past when you're by yourself?
Because
that's the right thing to do.
Exactly. But I think I've been influenced by the good people around me because everyone's a product of their environment. And then that has kind of shaped me into the person that I hope I become.
So you're the man you say you are?
No, I'm saying that I'm better than I would be if I didn't have those people around me.
Well, I'm not the man I say I am. But I'm getting there. We're
Matty.
all getting there. We're all getting there. All jokes aside, well, not a joke. It's a good thing to think about. Ask yourself, are you the man you say you are? It's the weekend, baby.
I tell you what the best. I go back to the gym thing. Like that's one thing that you can't cheat. Like I mean, obviously, besides like doing steroids and stuff. I mean, like you can't out train a diet. You can't like it's the one thing that it shows the work you put in. It shows like you can't pretend that you've been going to the gym. Well, if you have that attitude for everything, then I think you'll become a good person.
I hope so. Hey, but maybe you say you're a bad person. If you say you're a bad person, you're a bad person. Hey, maybe you're just a bad person.
Yeah, like a career criminal.
Yeah, career criminal. Hey, but maybe it's Robin Hood. Robin Hood was a career criminal.
True. Yeah.
Was he bad?
True.
Was he bad?
No, I don't think so.
Was he though? What about the people that he stole from that got all their riches through their own hard work?
Yeah, you're right. He was bad, but
what did it our way? They had an excess of resources, and the poor people have been held down by a kingdom.
It's a really tough moral question. I don't know.
It's all, mate. The toughest one I reckon is the Lance Armstrong morality question.
Yeah,
it's like what happened. What he did it when the sum of its parts, Lance Armstrong did what he do actually was a good. The sum of its parts, not what he actually did, because I was cheating, treating people poorly. But if we didn't have the myth that he created, think about the hundreds of millions of dollars he raised for sick children, cancer, all that kind of stuff. And so do you sacrifice the lives of a few for the enrichment of the many? Or is it about the individual?
Yeah, no, for me, that's an easy, well, it's not an easy one because there's nothing worse than drug cheats. Like that's, as a sporting fan, that's the worst you can do. But the impact that bloke had on so many people, that I think that far outweighed it. Even though I watched his documentary and the whole time I looked at it and I'm like, you are a Derek. Like you are an absolute piece of shit. Yeah. But I think you got to step back a little bit. The amount of people that lie helped was monumental.
It's crazy because like so many stories that really don't have any basis in fact at all have moved a civilization, have moved multiple civilizations. So when people say, always be honest, always tell the truth, does as much good come out of that? That is the question. For example, if you're a young kid that wants to believe that Darren Lockyer is larger than life and he is this person that, he can do things that just normal people can't do. And so that drives you to greatness. But if you knew that he was just a normal bloke like you or me that did great things, would you be as driven if that mystique wasn't created? Like in the Lance Armstrong situation, would there be as much money raised if the mystique wasn't there of what he achieved? And so, and then you could argue against that and say, well, it's actually what makes him great is he is a normal person, Darren Lockyer, but he did great things.
Yeah.
So, mate, it's a conundrum that you're not going to work out on 3 p.m. on a Friday.
Definitely not on a Friday.
After a couple of beers. But that's the question. Let's get straight into it, baby. Budgie Smugglers, Bloke Budgie Smugglers are out now.
Sorry, I saw a meme the other day that was like, podcasts are like, let's get straight into it 25 minutes in. Yeah. And I thought that is bloke in a bar.
That 100%. Is bloke in a bar. Bloke in a bar. Bloke Budgies are live now and they are nearly sold out, guys. They are limited edition. They are nearly sold out. So if you want some sizes are already sold out. Go to the Budgie Smuggler website and purchase Bloke Budgies for summer. I know it's a bit colder at the moment, but trust me, when it gets a bit warmer and you're going to be sitting there, damn it, I should have got the Bloke Budgies, make sure to grab some immediately. Also, Bloke Lager is on promotion in all IGA liquor stores in New South Wales. Head to the IGA store locator to find your nearest IGA Plus liquor and take advantage of this offer while it lasts. Bloke Beer is also in Liquor Legends, Bottle-O, Porter's Liquor, Thirsty Camel, Celebrations, all the good stuff. Make sure to go in and grab a case of Bloke Beer, the beer of rugby league. But let's get straight into it. I know everyone will probably be waiting to hear Storm defeat the Broncos in a really, really good performance by both teams, especially the Storm, having one player sent to the bin for 10 minutes. I mean, I thought it was a really entertaining game, and I'd argue it was of a higher quality than most games that we see of a weekend over the last few weeks.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun watching that game.
Yep.
I think, and I know I bang on about how, like, the origin period and, like, I hate how there's players missing. I think this is very different. I think when there's actually doesn't really matter who wins or loses. I reckon it's so good when teams rest players and we get to see young players thrive when the result doesn't actually matter. So no one's really stressed out about that. So
I was stressed out.
Sorry.
I wanted a minor premiership. I wanted a fucking minor premiership, bro.
It's a great point.
So I think you might be talking from a fucking
Talking for a team that's sitting in 8th.
That's the second time this week you've done that. I'm like, bro, there's a minor premiership on the line. And you're like, yeah, no one really cares about the fucking result.
That was Guru on Monday. Guru's banging about that.
What the hell, man? No one cares. It's a minor premiership. But yeah, really good performance. I thought it was good by both teams. I thought much better from the Storm, though. I think the Broncos definitely had the opportunity and the side to win that game. They just didn't seem to ice their opportunities when they got them. And Storm did. They came with the correct game plan, which was like, look, we don't have the superstars and neither do they. So what do we need to do? Complete at a really high rate and just defend our backsides off because Brisbane will make the mistakes for us because they're also young. And what do you know? They completed about 85%. Broncos completed about 70%, 71%. Broncos nearly made double their errors. So they made 10 to the Storm 6. That's 12 points right there. That's 12 points right there. So little bit of a, I'm not a little bit, disappointing that they couldn't get the job done. And you can already see the players, they're disappointed as well, the Broncos players. They were hoping to do that for the club. But at the end of the day, you've got a Storm side that, well, you look at the Broncos and really, 3 years ago, we got the spoon. Like the club was in turmoil. So Kevy's only been in there for 2 years now.
I think this is his 3rd year.
So, 2 full seasons. Yeah. In his 3rd year, he's only building the standards. They don't come immediately. And I thought we saw a really good example of the Storm. They've built these standards over 20 years. And so no matter who came in that jersey, they knew exactly what needed to be done and they knew not to overplay their hand. They knew just do their job, and that's all that is required in a game like this. Whereas Broncos, they just got a bit too impatient. Yeah. Even little things like taking the 2 when we had 10... I know that's the conservative thing to do to take the 2, but surely you knew that we weren't going to win by 2 points. Yeah. Someone gets sent 10 for the bin, put pressure on them, complete sets.
Yeah.
And even when they did get one in the bin and we had an extra player, they just got too expansive too early and they just should have just gone up the guts, got fatigued, and then scored their tries. Whereas that's what Storm did. They just said, we're just going to hang in, and the momentum will change. And it did. Yeah. It did change.
You could tell that, and congratulations to Josh Rogers on debut, 27, and obviously Jock Madden in there as well. But you could tell they were missing that experience in the halves.
Oh, for sure, for sure. There were plenty of times where the Broncos forwards looked like they didn't know, who was supposed to get the ball, and so I felt that Pappy in the spine for them, and also obviously Garlic, who's played a lot of start of the year for a long time now for them. Or at least been in their 17. I thought they were really crucial in just making the decisions and making the big calls for their team to get around the park.
Even their halves, Wishart's been around for a bit, and Nicarima has been around for ages, even though he's only played a handful of games, and he was awesome.
Yeah, and he's been in systems for nearly 10 years now.
Yeah, in good systems. He was part of the Broncos.
Yeah, and when you look at obviously ask you to do this, but when you look at the experience of the games. Storm have a little bit more experience when it comes to total games, but when you look at the amount of players that have over 100 games, it's 5-2.
Yeah, so it was, before going into yesterday, it was 962 games to Brisbane, 978 Storm, so pretty even. But Tapau and Oates having 200 and 241 each kind of pushed that out a little bit. No one else in the Broncos had 100 games, whereas... As he said, there was 5 players in the Storm with over 100 games, and Paps wasn't even one of those.
Yeah. So I just think you saw the Storm's incredible standards and grit. That's all it was, because that was a super gritty win by Storm. Yeah. I know a lot of people go, oh yeah, Broncos had all these players out. Hey, Storm had a bunch of players out too.
Yeah.
And they might have had a little bit more experience across the board, but that doesn't change the fact they were down to 10 men. And they were down 1 man
12 men,
to 12 men, and they defended their absolute asses off.
Especially after letting in the softest try in Melbourne Storm history.
Yeah, through the middle there.
And then they were down 2 tries pretty quickly to claw their way back.
It's a really special win for Storm, and I think it's going to kickstart them into some really good footy.
I agree.
Because you go, okay, Broncos are essentially the benchmark of the competition, them and Panthers, but let's just say right now, heading into that game, form-wise, Broncos were the team.
Sure.
Now you go, okay, well, if we add in our players and Broncos added in back in their players, we're there or thereabouts. Like both teams are adding back in essentially an equal amount of quality.
Yeah.
And so Storm was sitting there going, we just went up to Suncorp. They were playing for a minor premiership. We were basically playing for nothing. Like, because they're already in the top 4, correct?
Storm are in the top 4.
Yeah.
Locked in.
So they're playing for nothing and we're playing for a minor premiership and they beat us. So that's an incredible win for Storm. Bellamy just knows how to beat the Brisbane Broncos. Like he just knows the game plan and it is just a gritty game plan. Just hang in there and yeah, unfortunately the Broncos boys, they just, even little things like I thought Tristan Saylor was incredible, but like at the end there, we tried to go down a short side. The game was on the line. He got taken out in his own end.
Yeah.
Little mistakes like that just so crucial. Like just take the tackle, let's go again. And even other stuff, not just Tristan Saylor, like some of the ball, like the intercept pass that was thrown.
Yeah.
You know, just hit short or read that. Like you've got to be able to read that someone's there. You know, so like, and then, you know, the try that Wishart scored, like a simple right foot step through the middle, like really just basic stuff. It wasn't when you go and if put it this way, the try that he stepped out, where the winger stepped out for Storm, that's one where you go, look, great play, cut out ball, got him.
Yeah.
All right, we can work out ways to try and stop it, but you give that stuff that is like things you can control, like steps through the middle. That's the things that inexperience gives you, and so definitely a missed opportunity for the Bronx, but overall, still a great game of rugby league and really, really promising signs for both clubs.
Yeah, for sure. I thought, as I said before, it was a bloody fun game to watch. But I totally agree with your Storm sentiment. I think this is going to kickstart it. And they were so good last night, like in terms of, what am I trying to say here? Like living up to their standards.
Yeah.
Put all those players back in. Pappenhausen's been gone all year. Jeez, they're going to be... They're a shot to win the comp, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. After watching that, and it sounds bizarre but like they nearly played as good as some of the more average games the Storm have played this year.
Yeah.
So you could get the Storm full strength in some of their average games they've played this year, and that Storm side might be able to beat it. That's how well they played.
I agree.
So you add in that standard plus all the big dogs.
The guns, yeah.
I think that they're a real concern for people going to play them this week. And we spoke about it, but geez, you don't want to land on the Melbourne first week side because you go Melbourne into Penrith probably. If you play Melbourne first week, and you let's say you win, you play Penrith.
If you play Melbourne first week,
the comp wants, like if you're not a Penrith or a Melbourne fan, you want Melbourne to play Penrith first week so that you end on the other side.
Sorry, yeah. So if it's Penrith versus Warriors, let's say for example, and then Broncos versus Melbourne, Penrith beat Warriors. Yeah, you're right. So if Storm beat Broncos week 1, then Broncos have to play Penrith in a prelim.
Whereas what you want,
tough.
that is hectic,
Yeah.
hectic. What you want is you want Storm and Penrith to bash the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And then you want to get Penrith or Storm after they've just played each other.
Yeah.
And I know they'd get that week off, but still, you just want it after they've played each other.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get on the Warriors, that would be going on the Warriors side. Now, look, not to say the Warriors can't win it. That you're like, fuck, they can absolutely, it's 80 minutes of rugby league.
Talking about Storm here, who have experience.
And also, the worst thing is that you play Storm and Penrith instead of just one of them.
Yeah.
You only want to play one of them on the way to the grand final.
For sure.
If you're in the top 4, obviously things can change. But yeah, obviously I'm devo that the boys didn't get the minor prem. I know that the Cowboys, if they win, we could still get it, but whatever. But I will say it's livened up the race for that premiership now.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just Broncos and Penrith anymore.
Nah.
Not even close.
Nah, Storm got their foot in the door for sure.
I 100% believe that. Now, talk about Fa'alongo.
Oh.
Wow. Now, I've been a fan of this kid for quite a while, actually.
You did a reaction on him.
Did a reaction on him at the start of the year. Had heard about him before. But he is absolute dynamite. Absolute dynamite. Obviously, there's still things he needs to work on in his game, for sure. Like any rookie.
Yeah.
But that raw ability... Tell me the last time you saw a fullback with footwork like that.
Oh, those goose steps that he'd do, and he's just so well balanced.
So well balanced. Like I'm trying to think of a fullback. The last fullback we saw with footwork like that was probably RTS, and I would argue that RTS crazy footwork. But I'd argue over a 10-meter period, this guy might be quicker because he's so small.
Yeah.
Whereas what was so special about RTS was because he's big. So he'd hit you with the right foot step, but he could also bump you.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously the little fella, he's probably not going to bump that many people. I mean, he might. He might be. But his footwork is seriously some of the best I've ever seen. Yeah. Ever seen. The one where he made that break, and he actually... Usually when you jump up like that in Goosey, it's like you jump up, 1, 2, boom, off your right foot. So it's like you take like a step after it, usually. So you jump up, Goosey, 1, 2, boom, right foot. He jumped up, boom, right foot straight away. Like, you know how hard that is on your knees? You can't do that if you're a big fella. Like you can do it, but you don't move directions the way he did. He did it, boom, straight away, and then boom, straight back off the left foot. Like, I'm telling you right now, his highlight reel by the end of his career will be one of the best highlight reels you'll ever see. As long as he stays injury-free.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where he'll rank in fullbacks. I don't know anything about it. I'm just talking about purely dicing people up with footwork.
Yeah. He's
up there with the best I've seen.
I wonder, like, how Storm are going to use him. Like, obviously they got Pappenhausen as their fullback. Meag's going good. Like, I haven't watched him, so I don't know what other positions he's good at. If he plays wing, if he plays centre, if he plays halves, I don't know.
Mate, it's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I think Pappy will get that spot back.
Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Mate, if I'm a club, I am offering him some decent coin.
Bloody oath I'm offering him
just get him to the club somehow, some way. And Storm obviously won't be able to do that.
Yeah. Obviously he's a freak, but it's so good that he's been in that Storm system.
Oh, so good. So he's got all the natural ability, plus he's been in the Storm system. Usually they take battlers and turn him into... Like, he is out the gate. Like, even a guy like Pappy, out the gate he wasn't who he was. He had to build into that.
Look, bloody oath, yeah.
And whereas this guy is out the gate, unbelievably talented. Now, his biggest challenges will be in contact, like getting dragged back, not being able to take scoots. But I think guys like Jaden Campbell have proven that if your footwork is electric, you can find ways around that. And also, it's the team's job to always pick up each other's weaknesses. So if I'm not a big barnstorming winger that can make 200 metres a game like a To'o or a Manu Vatuvei, well, then you need to put, and you consider me an important part of the team, you need to put a winger on the other side that can do that, or a centre and a winger that can take care of the metres. That's what balancing a side is all about. And so with a guy like Fa'alongo, if you have him at fullback, you just need to know he's not going. You need outside backs to take care of his. I hate the word tough carry because he will take tough carries, but just the shit ones that are just like, bro, there's no way you're making a line break. You're just running straight at someone and getting to your front.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so that's just all about balance.
Yeah.
But if you could utilize a guy like Fa'alongo correctly, far out. Like the Broncos boys were almost shitting themselves by the end of the game every time we got the ball because he was so electric, so electric. So, I mean, and then what's 2 tries?
2 tries.
2 tries, pure speed. I cannot wait to see more of this kid. He's going to be unbelievable.
And that first one, that was his first touch.
Second touch, he threw a ball out of dummy half, I think.
Second touch, still insane.
Absolutely insanity. And it wasn't a nothing play. He had to have electric speed to get through the line in the first place. Then the footwork to get around, to get at Pappy, keep following, the try, amazing
and
stuff.
And the put down, not many people putting that ball down.
100%.
I thought he butchered it, to be honest.
Look, maybe before this year that would have been a knock-on. But hey, we won't talk about that. We won't talk about the 2 knock-ons that you guys scored. We won't talk about that. No, just joking. Just joking. That was a try. By this year's rules, that was a try.
According to the rule book.
But last year, before this year, that's a knock-on.
Yeah.
But that's the rules. Another shout-out, Tristan Saylor. Aside from that one little situation, mate, if I am another club, I am, you've got Raiders in brackets here. I already spoke about it this morning, Morning Glory. Mate, get Tristan Saylor to your club 100%. Immediately at fullback.
100%.
Immediately. And aren't the Dragons sitting there going,
oh my God, I know.
He is special, man. And look, if he can just, it's almost like the Reece Walsh situation. They're overconfident sometimes. And you're just like, bro, if you could just rein those errors in, 1 or 2 of them, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Reece Walsh in Origin, if you could be that, mate, Tristan's special. And I think that if you need a top-tier fullback at your club, you need to sign Tristan Saylor because you get him on a good coin. He's shown what he's done in 2 games now. Mate, he's special. Imagine what he can do with a bit of confidence too in first grade.
And by all reports as well, I was looking at different team of the weeks and different articles and that. Apparently he's been
killing it. Yeah,
all year in Q Cup.
Killing it. So I just doubt the Broncos will be able to keep him. And honestly, I doubt that the Storm will be able to keep Fa'alongo too. The only way they do is if they make some hectic calls on Pappy, which is insane. He's a Clive Churchill.
And Pappy was so good to see him back.
He was so good to see him back. So yeah, great game for the Storm. Like I don't think it's getting appreciated enough what a great win that was for the Storm.
For sure.
Like this is what makes Melbourne great. They went up to Suncorp with a reserve grade side, granted against another reserve grade side, and were playing for nothing.
Yeah. And
beat the Brisbane Broncos, who were playing for a minor premiership. That is Melbourne Storm, because culture, Cameron Smith spoke about this earlier in the week, but culture is just simply standards that you apply regardless of what's happening around you. Very easy to go into a game that means everything and play well because, we get a reward for that. What Melbourne Storm have done over so many years is, whether they're playing the worst side in the comp or the best side in the comp, they keep their standards regardless. And that's what separates the best teams from the worst teams. It's why Penrith are so ruthless, because if they're playing, I know they've struggled a little bit for form lately, but they have just been so ruthless that it doesn't matter who they're playing, they expect exactly the same each week. Yep. Whereas sometimes, you see the clubs that are struggling, they'll come out, we let this go, we let that go. We have this, we have got this guy injured, we got that guy injured, and there's excuses. And that's bad culture. That's creating excuses. Whereas, there's been stories of Craig Bellamy where they've beaten the Gold Coast Titans like 40-20 or something, and he's gone in and blown up at the end of the game. Yeah. And people think that's crazy, but what it means is it's standards, and the standards dropped for that last 20 minutes where they scored those points. That makes Craig Bellamy angry, which is why they're great. It's why they're great. So I think it's an amazing win. And look, I don't think the Broncos boys should be too devastated at all or downhearted. I thought they showed a really good accounting for themselves. I loved their aggression in defence. I got Pia Corey put on report 3 times. Look, the shot on Fa'alongo, I just don't know what you expect wide running forwards or people to do. Are you supposed to wait till he gets the ball and then he could just run straight past you? Yeah. But I also understand they're trying to protect players. Yeah. So I don't think nothing will come of that.
No, he got 3 fines.
Oh, so he got 3 fines?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say all 3 of them. I'm like, look, I really don't see them. Even the shoulder to the head, he was falling. It wasn't malicious, and so that's good. That's good by the NRL, because I didn't think any of them warranted suspension. Yeah. Who else played really well? I thought Jordan Ricky was really good for Broncos.
Was awesome.
He was really good. He has had such an underrated year for himself. His kick chase is arguably the best kick chase of any back rower in the competition this year. And last night, it was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And I'm just so happy for Jordan Ricky that he's building this part of his game, because the other stuff will come for Jordan. It's going to come. I just know it. But this year, I think he's been outstanding and he's matured so much. And ironically, he's fist pumping after tries and that. But he's earned that, Yeah. That's when you go, mate, fist pump all you want. You're fucking ripping and tearing. Yeah. Fucking get into it.
Ripping and tearing and doing, as you said, the kick chase. I saw attitude
100%.
Stuff.
It's when you haven't done much and then a try scored and you yipping and yahooing, and it's but when you're doing what he's doing at the moment, mate, you have earned the right to rip. You know why you can do these ones fist pump? Because you're ripping and tearing every second of the game. Yep. So I thought Jordan Ricky was outstanding. Look, disappointing night for the Broncos, but at the same time, not a devastating night or anything like that. Not at all. I thought there's a lot to be. As I said, this club was a shambles a few years ago. Absolute shambles. And now we're going toe-to-toe with, the best run club in the competition over the last 20 years, which I think is decent. Now, get ready to cheer on your team in the 2023 Rugby World Cup on Stan Sport, kicking off on the 9th of September. The only place to watch every match ad-free in 4K Ultra HD live and on demand is on the home of rugby, Stan Sport. Add the Stan Sport package now at stan.com.au/sport. And guys, I'll be watching the Rugby World Cup. It is so exciting. I cannot wait. And also, how unique it's going to be. I'm not sure if they did it last World Cup, but to have it on a place like Stan where you can pause, rewind, go back, watch replays, that is mad. Yeah. That is mad. And in 4K, I can't, the last time I watched the World Cup definitely wasn't in 4K.
Yeah, no way.
So make sure to go to stan.com.au/sport, add the Stan Sport package. And as always, guys, the more people that support Stan, the more they're going to get on board with us. So support people that support Bloke.
They had the Shoot Shield final. I think it's still called the Shoot Shield. Last week, Stan Sport. A couple of trainers at my gym, actually. Zach and Jackson were part of that Randwick team that won their first comp in about just under 20 years. So shout out to them. Congrats.
Shout out. Shoot Shield.
Yeah, it's like the top club rugby.
Yeah, it's like Q Cup or New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, I got another shout out as well. And this is just like a great battler story that I'm sure you'll love. In the Illawarra comp, the Corrimal Cougars. So I think their reserve grade team made their first grand final since 1989 last week, and they're into the grand final. Kicked a field goal, like haven't been in a grand final in so long, so good for the club. But a few weeks ago, their first grade team, now they signed Jared Mullen to like play in their first grade team, I think, and he did his shoulder in the preseason, so they're just like,
oh Jesus,
blah blah blah. They got their first win a few weeks ago. Their first win in 777 days.
What?
Yeah, I know.
The first grade side.
The first grade side,
But the reserve grade side's in the grand final.
The reserve grade side is now in a grand final.
I tell you what.
So the club's buzzing at the moment.
I tell you what. Maybe not selecting the right blokes for the first grade side.
Maybe not.
Hey, how you only win one game and your Rezzies all bloody in a GF? What's going on there?
I know. So yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, that's a club in turmoil. That's a club in turmoil. The Rezzies are killing it.
He's up there.
Give him a crack. Give him a crack. The boys are ripping and tearing in Rezzies. Holy, I tell you, we might see some leaked text messages heading into the grand final.
Maybe
some, some senior players disgruntled. No, massive congratulations to the Corrimal Cougars. Many a good time in Wollongong when I lived there.
Yeah. I thought we'd be connected to them somehow.
Yeah. That's great. That's really good. I think I did see a snippet of on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Instagram, of them kicking the field goal.
Field goal, yeah. So yeah. It was a 1 point win.
That's awesome.
Week.
Hey, up the Corrimal Cougars. Who did I play for? I played for the Thirroul Butchers, but only like 2 games.
That is such a great name.
Oh,
the Thirroul Butchers.
Great name. So that's when I quit footy and I went down there. Nathan Feen, so like, come down, play footy for us. I'll get you a gig, job and that. I was like, yeah, mad. And I was like, I want to be a Sparky. He's like, all right, I'll get you that. Gets me a Sparky job. Bro, I'm literally there for 2 weeks. The Sparky ARA Electrical used to be known as Bus Electrical, which was a great company to work for, actually, ARA Electrical, like really good. I have so much appreciation for how well they handled my transition from footy to work life. It's weird because a lot of people have heard me talk about Sparky and how I just didn't enjoy it. Like, I didn't enjoy doing any of the work, but the company was actually really good to work for.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, get down there 2 weeks. Like, honestly, 2 or 3 weeks, did the preseason, and they're like, oh yeah, you need to work away. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, the biggest job we've got is out in Marulan, which is like an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours from Sydney, and we need you to stay it's at Goulburn. We need you to stay in Marulan, maybe. Vice versa. Anyway, we'll just say Goulburn. We'll say Goulburn, which is about an hour and 45, 2 hours away from Wollongong.
Yeah.
An hour and a half if you're really fanging it. And also we had to live away as well. So I was living in this motel while working, and I was like, I rang Feeney. I'm like, listen, bro. First I said to ARA, I was like, well, you brought me down here to play. He's like, no, the ARA were like, no, you're here as a worker first. Like, we want you as our worker first, which I actually appreciated. Like, I thought that they were going to be like, oh, well, anyway. So I rang Feeney and I was like, bruh, I'm not driving 2 hours after work to train and come and play. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm 30 whatever years old or 28. Like, I'm not doing that again. I did that at the start of my career when 2 hours up, 2 hours back, working a job, which Feeney was really understanding. But yeah, so I played 2 games and I just obviously wasn't committed because I was, working away in the above ground mine. But yeah, the Thirroul Butchers. Great club though. Great club. Blue and white jersey, pretty sure.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of him in the past.
Yeah. Anyway, Corrimal Cougars, eh? They're the same colours as what you got on.
Yeah, red and green.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a cool name, Will. I like the alliteration, the Corrimal Cougars.
Thirroul Butchers is hectic.
Thirroul Butchers. Oh.
Like an NRL team named the Butchers.
Oh, imagine that.
Are you serious?
And then you get Nat Negan to go play for
Oh,
them.
mate. If you named a team the Butchers, everyone would just get on board because it's hectic.
Yeah. It's like...
imagine the merch you could make.
100%. And Nikita Zoo's nickname. It's
the
just...
Butcher.
It's just a great name.
It's quite hectic.
Yeah.
When you think about what it means and what it's implying,
yeah,
you're like, oh shit.
Speaking of jerseys and dark past and stuff, why the South jersey is red and green? Because Rabbitohs, like they're not rabbits. That's why it's got the head here. The Rabbits in 1908, or when the club was formed.
2001?
1907, 1908 was the first year, but say 1907 got formed. They were called the Rabbitohs because they'd be the guys on the street who would like kill and skin the rabbits, and they'd sell them on the street, like Rabbitoh, and they'd wear the green suit, and the red represents like the rabbit's blood.
Yeah.
That's why the South colours are red and green.
It sounds like Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Maybe Gangs of New York were the like originators of, because in that movie, I'm pretty sure it is based on an Australian gang. Could you the Butcher, his name is the Butcher.
The Butcher.
And I think it is based on like an Australian, I think that was a psycho. Daniel Day-Lewis plays him. Yeah, great movie, by the way. If you haven't watched Gangs of New York, freaking watch it. So freaking cool. But you have to think about it. Like, it makes a lot of sense, especially back in those days. A lot rougher.
You're talking about Bill the Butcher?
Bill the Butcher, yeah?
Yeah, he's English.
English, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's English, all right. You keep talking about the Rabbitohs, I'll try and get it.
He was born in England. Yeah, I don't know, I have to read this whole thing. But yeah, that's why. Sorry, the rabbit head, I got mixed up. That was only because John Sattler's logo got ripped off in that grand final. I used to think that's why it was the rabbit's head. I don't think that's the reason, but no, back in 1908. Well, that's the story I've been told anyway. That the Rabbitohs, or the people that yell Rabbitoh, used to wear the green suits, and there was like blood all over them. So that's why they became the South Sydney Rabbitohs, which is, I think it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could tell it in the right way, you know what I mean? If you could tell that story in the right way, like imagine if you could dramatize that with a high budget, how cool it would be.
I know, right?
Okay, I think we're on here. So the 100 of vagabonds who made up the Sydney Ducks, as they were called by locals, land on the US West Coast straight from the penal colonies of New South Wales. Gangs of New York author Herbert Osbury, in his book The Barbary Coast, wrote, by early autumn of 1849, the arrivals from Australia to San Francisco had become so numerous and so thoroughly dominated the underworld that the district in which they congregated began to be known as Sydney Town, and it was called so for some 10 years. It was this area that later became notorious throughout the world as Barbary Coast, although the latter designation did not come into general use until the middle 1860s. So they were called the Ducks, and they were Sydney. They were Sydney based, like they were from Australia that had gone to San Francisco.
Right.
And the Ducks ran extortion rackets, gambling halls, sex clubs, other stuff that's fucking terrible. And the truth is, San Francisco was a lawless place in those days. But yeah, they were ex-convicts from Australia and were flooding in on countless ships heading to the northern California's gold fields.
The Ducks, like for such a hectic thing, the Ducks is such a non-menacing name.
Yeah, I know. Like if you're called the Ducks and you're in that area, like in that type of life,
yeah,
watch out. Holy shit. Yeah. Ducks were often recognisable straight off the boat by their shaved heads. So recently they were released from confinement that the hair had not had time to grow. Some had scars from hot irons on their faces. Their legs were bowed and they walked with a peculiar swinging gait, learnt from wearing leg irons. They were also identifiable by their accent and dialect, which bristled with criminal flash talk.
Wow.
Jeez. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Sydney Ducks.
Sydney Ducks. I've actually never heard of that.
Jesus. Anyway. There you go. Bit of information for the listener.
Bit of history.
I'd love to know how every single team's thing started.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool story. I'm sure there are other stories that are like, yeah, we just like the colours and we slapped them together.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like the kind of new.
How did the Roosters start? Do you know that?
No idea, to be honest. No idea. I'll find out by next week.
Okay. Now, don't forget, we got huge games this weekend. South versus Rabbitohs tonight on 9 now, and then tomorrow night, Dragons v Knights, and then Sunday, Sharks v Raiders, all on 9 now. The best commentary in the game. You can download the app and watch it on your web browser. The best commentary in the game. What can I say? Last night, it was Smithy, Slater, Fatty. Like, are you serious? Are you serious?
Fatty's the best.
So on 9 now, the best commentary in the game.
Just going back, I did think of one. So it wasn't how the Roosters started. It's not how these teams started, but it's a pretty interesting story. So I'm pretty sure there was 8 teams that started in the 1908 competition. One of those was South Roosters, obviously, and one was Glebe, and one was Newtown. And Glebe and Newtown. So South were the third team to officially get registered. Glebe and Newtown were 1 and 2.
So they're not the first lot they carry on.
No. They're seriously not. They're actually the third.
So they carry on.
But so Glebe and Newtown were 1 and 2. So that was in
What
1907.
about Glebe just got left behind? No one talks about
No one
Glebe.
talks about Glebe.
Where Newtown, they're around.
The Jets and the Bears. Glebe and Newtown were 1 and 2. So that was in 1907. So 115 or 100 whatever years ago. They still, to this day, argue as to who was first.
Really?
Yeah. Or like the Glebe, I think they're called the Dirty Reds or something. And the Glebe people and the Newtown people, they still claim that they were the first rugby league team
Wow.
to this day.
Imagine if the Newtown Jets came back into the comp.
That'd be cool.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we need heaps more Sydney sides.
The North Sydney Bears actually won the minor premiership in the reserve grade.
This year?
Yep.
Yeah, they're Roosters feeder club, eh?
They are Roosters, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's get some huge games. Roosters. South versus Roosters. Do or die for South. Roosters need to win and need Panthers to win. What do you reckon, Matty?
Well, South. I think Tupou out is a huge loss. Like we already know about Manu, but I think Tupou is so underrated to that team as to all the hard work that he does. So those three. I know we got Trell out, but it's at South's home ground. I think South win.
Do you reckon Panthers should rest players or not?
Nah, not after last week. No way.
Really?
Yeah.
What if someone gets injured or suspended or head knocked?
You know what? HIS have really changed things.
I know it's
They
fucking
really
crazy.
have.
Crazy. Like we could have lost Piacora. We lost Willison last night as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just boom, done.
Was it Cam Smith on Captain's Run that was talking about? Don't worry about injuries. It's the suspensions.
Suspension HIAs.
That like I didn't really consider. Suspensions are just as likely to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're lucky Piacora didn't get one. Like it's a roll of the dice, really.
I mean, fuck, Luai hasn't been injured his whole career, and he just got his shoulder last week. So I don't know.
The only one I'm scared of is like Cleary.
Maybe I'd risk Cleary and maybe one of the front rows. I don't know.
Because like the reason like Cleary is like just so important.
Well, if they lose Cleary, they're done.
Without Cleary, they're done, which is funny because start of the season and middle of the season, we were saying I still think they're favourites.
Yeah.
But now I think without Cleary,
And Jerome Luai.
there's just I don't see. I mean, if anyone,
You
can
know
do
what?
it,
I've changed my mind in a minute. I think they should rest players.
because it's just like fuck. What if something happens?
Yeah, and like it doesn't matter who wins this game.
Yeah, like-
yeah, you're right. I've changed my mind. They should rest players.
Look, I understand though. Like I know why if he does play him, they need to play themselves back into form because they haven't been anywhere near their best for a month now. So I get that, but let's say touch wood, touch wood. But let's say one of their key players gets injured, everyone will be going, "What the fuck?" Like
So true.
Like Penrith Panthers, you have heaps of finals experience. You know how to get up for it, and you've been dominant for most of the year.
Yeah.
I actually, the more I've thought about it, initially I thought, nah, you know what? I'd be playing everyone.
Yeah.
But the closer I've gotten, and then just seeing last night, we nearly lost 2 players. We definitely lost 1. It's just not worth it.
Yep, I agree.
Can you imagine if one of them goes down?
Yeah.
Like Dylan Edwards, Fisher Harris, Cleary. That's big with Luai as well.
Yep. No, I've completely done a 180.
Yeah.
Last 2
Oh,
minutes.
because honestly, 2 days ago I was sitting there going,
Yeah.
no way, they need to play themselves back into form. But they got 2 games in the finals to sort it. If they lose to Storm or Warriors, it'll be Storm Warriors, correct? Yeah, Storm Warriors. If they lose to them, they'll be playing like
Knights, Sharks.
Knights, Sharks or whatever.
Cowboys, Raiders,
You
whatever,
telling
yeah.
me they can't get up for Knights, Sharks to get the job done?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. Penrith will be, I mean, they'd be favourites every game they play, but certainly week 2.
I reckon he'll rest at least 1 or 2 of the key players just to be safe, only because of the Luai situation. The Luai situation changes everything because it's like, all right, if you had everyone healthy and one of the key players gets injured, you've still got Luai who has led Samoa to a World Cup grand final. He's got a great win percentage, but like if you lost Luai and Edwards, that's half your spine.
Yeah, for sure. And also, James Salmon's not in this team. It's probably good to give him some minutes before the finals. Like they might need him in the finals at some point.
For sure. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what the Panthers do. Really, really interesting. All right, we'll get to your tip. We'll go through your tips quickly. Manly, Tigers.
On Monday, I tipped Tigers, but they're missing. Who is it? Stefano and Bateman. I'm pretty sure. I can Manly
Dolphins, Warriors.
I'm still going to go Warriors.
It's all brought to you by our absolute legend partners over at Sportsbet.
Yeah.
Because Manly's paying $1.23, Tigers paying $4.20. Missing Bateman and Stefano, but
That's
I
too
still think like you just don't know with Manly.
Yeah, I
You
know.
just don't know. They could come out and honestly put 30 on them, 40 on them, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could come out and get into a dogfight. Wouldn't be surprised.
Hopefully they get up for Jake's 200.
Yeah, Jake's 200 is a big one. We've already done Sydney Rabbitohs. Dolphins, $1.56. Warriors, $2.43.
Yeah, I'm going Warriors still.
I think there's a bit of value in that Warriors,
Yeah,
$2.43.
I think so.
I know they're missing resting key players, but I don't know. I just think that there might be next man up
They've
attitude.
been up against it all year.
Yeah. Panthers, $1.26. Cowboys, $3.85.
I reckon Panthers, even if they rest Cleary.
Yeah, I reckon Panthers as well. I'm hoping. I mean, I picked Cowboys early in the week just to go for it.
Yeah.
But I really think Panthers are going to win. But I hope Cowboys win, obviously. St. George Dragons, Illawarra Dragons, 201. Knights, $1.83.
I think Dragons.
Really?
Yeah, I think Dragons. I think
going Knights.
They're missing Ponga. Everything works around him. They're still missing Hastings, I'm pretty sure. Dragons have been pretty good last month, even though they haven't got a win.
I'm going Knights. I'm bullish on the Knights, eh? I really like what I'm
love
seeing.
them. I really love them.
Titans, $1.27. Bulldogs, $3.78.
Titans by a long way. Bulldogs are just
Mate.
Bulldogs are in trouble.
Can you imagine if they get beaten by 40?
That's a very big possibility.
Fuck.
Very big possibility.
Unbelievable. Sharkies, $1.33. Raiders, $3.34.
Oh, such a big game. It's one of those things. I've tipped the Sharks, but they're just that team, Raiders, that can just stick it with you and then just win at the end when it's such an important game. So, I'm tipping Sharks.
I'm tipping Sharkies. Don't forget as well, make sure you head to Shoe Grab to get new shoes. Free delivery on all orders over $99. Sneakers, casual, performance, slide, limited exclusive, plus a bunch of clothes and accessories. Head over to Shoe Grab. They've got a store in Sydney, a store in Melbourne, plus they've got the biggest online shoe market in the country. So if you love your kicks or you need some runners or joggers or some casual shoes, support people that support us, guys. Go to Shoe Grab and grab some. They are the big sponsors of the Bulldogs, so they love rugby league the way we do as well. And don't forget, use code GAGAI for $7 off Indian on Menulog. But I'm going to let Matty get to his parking spot for the game.
Oh, yes. I'm going nice and early because I got my seat ready, as you said, before the show. But there's like this P1 car park in Sydney Olympic Park. And if you don't get a good spot after the game, you're in there forever.
Oh, really?
And if Souths lose, which I don't think, but let's say they do, you don't want to be sitting in that car park for an hour.
Mate, stuff that. And as usual, guys, grab a case of Bloke Beer, the beer of rugby league. It is absolutely beautiful. If you haven't tried it, give her a crack. I promise you won't be disappointed. But as usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.